Oh, hi there. Dan Emmerich here for One of Swords TV. I'm One of Swords. I'm the community manager for Activision. And what I try to do here is answer your questions that you send me to YouTube at oneofswords.com about gaming, about Activision, about sort of some things you're wondering about the way that Activision does what it does. Sometimes I have some insight, and if I do have insight, I answer it here live on the air. Excuse me. This week's question is from Stephen Patitucci, and he writes, I've been a Crash Bandicoot fan since I was 4. I know the series ended at Mind Over Mutant, but classic fans such as myself just want to know if Crash will ever be back. We've been waiting for the beloved character to hit the shelves again. Yours truly, Stephen. Stephen, I totally understand you. In fact, I almost didn't answer this question because I feel like I've answered it already. And what I realized the difference was that I did not actually use the word Crash Bandicoot when I answered. I've gotten the same question from Spyro the Dragon fans who want to know when Spyro's classic sort of action-adventure games may return. And I've gotten this question from Guitar Hero fans who want to know when Guitar Hero is going to be back. Now, all of these franchises are on hiatus, right? All these franchises, I am very quick to say that no franchise ever dies, right? It just rests. There is no such thing as death for an IP. You know, there may be games that come out and don't do well, or there may be a long period of time when you don't get a game. And that's partly because the game needs to have a really good reason to exist. Now, I understand that from a fan perspective, all that should ever have to be to have a game exist is the desire to want a new game. But that's really not the way that it works. I'm going to bring up some of the stuff that I talked about a little bit in the Guitar Hero video. Eric Hirschberg, the CEO of Activision, was asked, when will Guitar Hero return? Will Guitar Hero ever return? And keep in mind that that is your question. Will Crash ever be back? You're asking sort of one of those open-ended, like, forever questions that I don't have that much insight. I don't have a crystal ball, man. This is just a microphone. I don't know, if Crash will never be back. Nobody can say that because things are always changing. But what Eric said about Guitar Hero was that Guitar Hero would return someday. They would look at bringing it back if there was, and I'm using this quote directly, meaningful innovation. His whole thing was, we have to have a good creative idea to bring it back in the first place. So while it's very possible that a developer might say, hey, we've got a great idea for a Crash Bandicoot game, that is step one. You have to figure out, do you have the right answer? Do you have the right concept? Is it going to be fun to play? Will people want it? Is now the right time? Obviously, I hear from Crash fans all the time. So I know that Crash fans would be interested in a new game, and you're one of them, Steven. You're telling me right now. But it's not just that. It's not even enough to have a good creative idea and the fans that want it back. You also have to consider all this back-end business stuff. Is now the right time to bring out a game? What do you bring it out for? Do we reinvent things? Like Skylanders was a brand new concept, and they brought Spyro into that, like they wanted to do something fun with Spyro. Originally, Skylanders was called Spyro's Kingdom, it was really based around Spyro as a character, and it just morphed and evolved, but I'm glad that Spyro didn't get cut, you know what I mean? Ideas are going to come, and if those ideas are right for those characters, great. If somebody sits down and says, I want to make a new Crash game, that's one thing. Somebody may sit down and say, I want to make this other kind of game, and you know what? We could probably use Crash in there because he makes sense. That could happen too. Right now, I don't know of any of those things, but I am not ruling out the future where Crash Bandicoot could return. But you need to understand that there are other market factors that go into, do we make a game based on any one of these resting IPs? Is now the right time for a Zork game? Do we have the right concept for bringing Planetfall back? Should Interstate 76 return to the market? All of these questions have to be asked first because you have to look at what that business plan would be. Is this an online game? Is this an offline game? Is this an iOS game? Is the time right to launch any more games right now? Do you want to introduce a new IP in 2013? Do you want to bring back an old franchise when people are buying brand new hardware and looking at newer games like Watch Dogs and Destiny and Titanfall and things like that because they're looking for new experiences rather than past old experiences, even if those old experiences are reinvented? These are the kind of things that game companies think about when they figure out whether or not they want to bring back a classic character. There's a lot more risk involved, and there's a lot more thought that goes into it other than just, well, darn, the Crash Bandicoot fans said that they want a new game, so let's make them a new game. The heart wants that, but the brain and the wallet have to think differently. So trust me when I tell you that I have passed this on to the higher-ups and have said, hey, I'm hearing a lot from Crash Bandicoot fans, but that is really, fan support is not enough to get a game made on the level that you're looking for. Because you don't want this to be half-assed either. You don't want a crappy Crash Bandicoot game. You don't want something that just has his name on it and his face in it, and then you play it and it's terrible. Because then you'd be more angry than you are now for not having been able to play a new Crash Bandicoot game in a long time. So just try to keep that all in perspective. It's not that people don't know that you want a Crash Bandicoot game, and it's certainly not that Activision doesn't like Crash Bandicoot. It's simply that now is not the right time for Crash Bandicoot. Will he ever come back? I have no idea. You know as much as I do. All I know is that the fans would like it if he did, and I would hope that if he does come back, that he comes back for all the right reasons. That's my Crash Bandicoot speech. Tell all the other Crash Bandicoot fans that they can stop asking me about this. If you have a different question and you'd like me to answer it on a future video podcast thing here, I'll try to do it. Send it to YouTube at oneofswords.com, and I will do my darndest to get this one on the air very soon. Thanks for watching. For everything else, there is oneofswords.com. I have giveaways and podcasts and articles and all kinds of stuff that you might find interesting. Check it out. Until then, thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.